John Alzheimer is known as one of our nation's most recognized credit experts. Having worked for 28 years in the credit industry, John has become one of the most prolific speakers about credit and the go-to authority on answers to credit-related questions. Credit Countdown with John Alzheimer.
Hello, my name is John Alzheimer. I'm a consumer credit expert. I've been in the credit industry for almost 30 years now. I've spent time at FICO, which is obviously the company behind the FICO credit scoring system, and Equifax, which is one of the three credit reporting agencies, one of the three recognized credit reporting agencies. So this topic today is a good one. We're going to talk about the importance of checking and really becoming engaged with all three of your credit reports. So there was a time, so Equifax is in Atlanta, Experian, their US headquarters is in Costa Mesa, which is in Southern California, and TransUnion's headquarters is in Chicago. So they're pretty spread out across the country. There was a time where you lived was relevant to the information on your credit report. So if you were a lender that did business primarily in the Southeast, you may have only reported your information to Equifax. If you were a lender that did most of your business primarily on the West Coast, then you may have reported your information only to Experian. You know, the same thing, Northeast, you may have only reported your information to TransUnion. So there was a time where your credit reports were really different, and the information was not as redundant as the information is today in contemporary credit reporting environments. Because that time has long since passed us by, it is absolutely very important that whatever you're doing with your credit report, that you multiply it by 3. Meaning that if you check your credit reports periodically, you pull your Equifax credit report periodically, then you really want to pull your Experian and TransUnion credit reports periodically as well. There's a couple reasons. Number one, the entire credit reporting industry is based on this voluntary system, meaning that lenders are not required to report information to any particular credit reporting agency or all three of the credit reporting agency. There's no law that mandates that any bank reports information to a credit bureau. And if they do, there's no law that says, oh, you got to report to all three of them. It doesn't exist. It's all voluntarily done by 11,000 plus companies in the United States on a monthly basis, just to kind of give you an idea of the breadth of companies that report to the big three. Most large creditors do report to all three. However, it is not uncommon for you to have relationships with lenders, maybe credit unions, local regional banks, that don't report to all three, and they may only report to one, or they may only report to two. And certainly from the inquiry side of the equation, meaning that when you apply for credit and your credit report is pulled, it is very uncommon that, for example, for a credit card, that the lender is going to pull all three of your credit reports. They're just going to pull one of them. You just don't know which one they're going to pull. The only environment where it's practically guaranteed that all three of your reports are going to be pulled is the mortgage environment, and that's because of Fannie and Freddie mandates. It doesn't really have anything to do with what the lender wants to do. It's what they're required to do by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So when you pull a credit report, you're going to want to pull all three, and you're going to want to set them side by side, and you're going to want to go through an inventory, all three of them, because information is going to be similar and redundant, but the likelihood of it being identical is very, very rare. Or likelihood is very, very low, and it is very rare that you actually see three credit reports that are entirely redundant. You may not have the same accounts on all three credit reports. You may not have the same inquiries on all three credit reports. One account may update at a different time of the month than it does with another bureau. And so even though the account shows up on all three, doesn't mean that it updates at the same time at all three. And so it's very likely that your credit reports are going to be different. So I would not just pull, for example, your TransUnion credit report and then just walk away thinking, hey, oh, the information was correct, I'm good to go. Well, that's like locking one of the three doors in your house. You have no clue what's on these credit reports, Equifax and Experian. So take the time to do a full inventory of information across all three of the credit reports that are really important in today's credit environment and have been for decades. Equifax has been in business in one form or another since the 1800s. So just to give you an idea of just how old they are. Now, what I'm suggesting you do is not going to cost you any money because the credit reporting agencies are giving out free credit reports weekly from all three of the credit bureaus through at least April of 2022. So you don't need to pull out a credit card just to check your credit reports. And to the extent that you are a voracious consumer of your credit information, you can actually pull all three of your credit reports 52 times a year because you can do it once a week at no cost. Obviously, that is extremely excessive. It's like watching grass grow. I mean, if you pull your credit report this week, it's probably gonna look really similar, if not identical, to what it looked like last week. But once a month is not a bad idea and not a bad strategy. And some people think, oh, that's way too much, that's way too often. Well, think of it this way. Your credit reports go through an entire series of changes once a month. So if you look at your credit report from January of some year and then looked at it the same day in February of that year, everything on that credit report had an opportunity to update to the new month, which means that it's going to be different. The balances may be different. One thing that's a guarantee is that everything on your credit report is gonna be 1 month older than it was the prior month. You may have an inquiry that is a new inquiry because you may have applied for something. You may have information that has fallen off your credit report because it has aged off. You may have balances that last month were very high and now this month they're not quite as high. Or you may have, conversely, balances that were low that are now higher. And so, there's a lot of moving parts as it pertains to credit reports, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be identical here and here, or here and here, or here and here. So I always advise consumers, leave your credit card on your wallet because you're not going to need it because it's going to be free, but become more engaged with your credit reports because the information is just simply too important to turn your back on it for any extended period of time. Monthly, okay, that may be excessive. Quarterly, probably not that excessive. Once a year, not enough, okay? So find yourself a happy medium. Take 5 minutes out of your day every 3 months and pull your credit reports and check them out. So if you have any questions about credit reports, drop them in the comment section below and I'll do my best to get to them. It was nice talking to you and we'll talk again soon. Have a good day.
For more videos and credit tips from John Olsheimer, go to www.tradelinesupply.com.